now that it's so clean, beautiful, it's really nice.
They did a great job with it.
Yeah.
I've driven past there a few times. I worked on it. It looked really good.
If you've got a pooch, take them.
Yeah, I don't have a dog. My wife's the word. So mine. My wife wants to know.
No, it's like that dog rest stop, they had a dog in Canton. He said that there's all fire hydrants, like, oh,
And also for the cats and the chickens. I was too.
that was gonna be on this week.
And disappointed I didn't see it on the agenda.
What's not here?
It's the plat. The Costco plat we thought would be on tonight's agenda and it's not.
Next week or next 2 weeks, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was on the phone with him today. Yeah. I'll tell you what, Greg, anybody who thinks the mayor's job is not full-time is wrong. I know that legally it's not, but I got 2 full-time jobs. I was on the phone with them today, construction schedules, because we're trying to coordinate a couple of contractors on the roundabout. And I guess they're going through a rebid on, with the contractor who will actually do that piece, to decide whether they can do it and leave some road open. So it's not completely closed off, and because I told them, I said, you can only have till school starts today, and I have to have that. So they're making adjustments to the bid to allow for traffic, they won't get done in time. But that was my ploy to them, and that was my ploy to the church. I said, you have to let me start the weapon during the summer. Because the church was telling me, oh no, build the back door first, and you know.
Oh,
Then I have, that's more time. I don't want that.
There you go.
Maybe even more. School starts, there has to be a way to get around it. It won't be finished, but it happens that. There you go, James.
I made it. I have 3 minutes.
I think it's just. Yeah. Technically, too.
Michael Bailey.
Actually, I don't think they were.
What's that?
Full-time majors.
No, I was in that building.
It's,
It
it won't happen. The way this Utah is structured, only a city over 100,000 people qualifies. But you get into it, 30,000.
Yeah, the little bluff on the end was busted
People
out.
who don't, some people just show up.
So either someone got the broken one, or I got a new one.
Yeah,
You do that, and you do a good job.
thank you.
Heard the ding, but that doesn't mean it's 6 o'clock yet, I guess.
Yeah.
We can go? Okay. Welcome to Planning Commission tonight. We'll go ahead and get started and call the meeting to order. Our first item is an invocation or thought by Commissioner Anderson, and we led the pledge of allegiance by Commissioner Johnson. Go to that point.
Our dear and gracious Heavenly Father, we're grateful to be able to meet together as a council and in a city and to be able to help progress our city and make it grow and thoughtful manner. And ask you to please bless that we'll be able to have a good meeting and have our spirit with us here. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
And
Let the allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chair, we have one minor edit, and I suppose it's up to the commission of what you would like to do. The Jones subdivision needs a public hearing. So I put everything together, and as we were discussing it this morning, just realized that the hearing needed to be scheduled, and we had a hearing set up, and that was postponed. So we can't vote on that one tonight, but we could vote the next meeting on the 17th. However, you're free to discuss it if you'd like, or you could just forward it to the next meeting.
Okay, I guess we can, do we have the option to strike it from the agenda or is it just best to table it?
It's really up to you. If you'd like to table it, again, we're gonna do a public hearing, so it really doesn't matter either way. It's going to be
Okay.
scheduled.
Well, why don't we go ahead when we get to that point, we'll just table it until the public hearing.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Next item is to adopt tonight's meeting agenda. It's been posted in accordance with state laws. Take a motion to adopt.
Move to adopt.
For a second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion to adopt the agenda has passed. Next item is to review our minutes from our last meeting on May 20th.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I can make a correction.
Okay,
It says that I was excused for that meeting, but it also says that I called the meeting to order at 6 p.m.,
that was very impressive.
which I did not do.
Remotely.
You also led the Pledge of Allegiance, looks like.
Yeah, so if we just need to make that correction.
Yeah. I believe I led the Pledge of Allegiance and did call the meeting to order. So if we can make that, when we make the motion, and make that correction. Anything else? Okay, we'll take a motion to adopt the minutes with that correction.
So moved with that correction.
A second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next item is a public comment period. This is an opportunity for the public to address the planning commission for any items that are not scheduled for public hearing tonight, which we have none. So if there are items that members of the public like to come speak about, please come to the podium, state your name and address, and make your comment. Please try and keep it to 3 minutes or less. Okay, go ahead and close public comment period. Next item is a discussion motion on Ovation Homes for Sadie's Glen Phase 5A. So Roy, you got this one?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is it's a final plat. This is the just directly north of phase 1 that we saw a few months back. So this will continue the road heading north from 2700 south. This phase puts the total number of lots in the subdivision over 30. So there's a secondary fire access required that's been provided. Everything that's been shown on here complies with both the city code and with the development agreement and the zone standards. Let me show you, let's see. So just quickly to get an idea here. So again, phase 1 is here. We have that stub road heading to the east. This is just more townhomes. And the connection road, which you can kind of see in the grand scheme of things. So we saw phase 2 over here a few months back as well. So the connection road is essentially going to be all the way across here with this stub. And well, those stubs are completed with phase 2, but with this stub completed as part of a future phase. So, but again, everything complies with the development agreement and the city code, and all staff comments have been addressed. So we would recommend it be approved.
Okay, thank you. To the commission, this is final plat, so no public hearing for this. Discussion or questions or motion?
I'll make the motion if there's no
Okay.
discussion point.
Any discussion? Okay, go ahead, please make the motion.
Mr. Chair, I recommend that the planning commission approve the application submitted by Ovation Homes for Sadie's Glen PRD Phase 5A. Final plat approval. Subdivision is located approximately 2590 south, 2430 west, and contains 14 lots in the PRD zone.
Thank you. We have a motion with a second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next item is the Jones amendment or Jones plat that we talked about. Recommend we table this until we have a public hearing on it.
That's the next one, I think.
That's five there, isn't it?
Yes, that would be item 5.
Yeah, we just did 4, so we're on 5.
Mr. Chair, move to table.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the grounds for tabling that is we will wait to hold the public hearing next time. Okay, item number 6 is a discussion of a text amendment on accessory dwelling units.
Yes, city council is forwarding task for the planning commission to review our ADU ordinance. We currently allow ADUs in A1, R1, R2, R3, and RPC. However, the RPC only allows them on lots greater than 5,600 square feet. And after reviewing this at city council level, they were looking at the state law, and the state law does allow the city to prohibit them for lots 6,000 square feet or less. And so they were wanting to make a small change from 5,600 to up to 6,000. So what that would do is it would take some of the potential lots. So it actually constricts the locations that ADUs can be located. That's actually opposite of the direction that the state's going. The state's, I think, pushing to make them allowable anywhere for affordable housing. But the reason why it's currently at 5,600 because there's 3 density categories within the RPC and the rungs of the different lot sizes. One starts at 5,600. So it just matched that, but so it may decrease the potential number of ADUs someday. So it's your job to review this and see if this would be a useful amendment to city ordinance and make a recommendation back to city council.
Quick question on this. Where this is an ordinance update, do we have to hold a public hearing for this too?
Yes. Yes, so this is a discussion only tonight. The way it was worded on the agenda was a little bit confusing, but yeah, we would be if you guys like this language, we'll bring it back again next time for a
Okay,
public hearing.
sounds good. I saw motion as part of the agenda there, so I'm gonna double check that. Okay, I'm good with the change. I don't see a reason why it can't change it to 6,000 square feet.
I have a question about ADUs kind of in general, and maybe
Sure.
I'm just missing this. Would say a basement apartment, like a basement converted to an apartment, count as an ADU?
Yeah, so there's 3 different kinds of ADUs that we allow. So internal ADU, that's your basement, and then attached ADU, that's like an addition, and then a detached, which would be like your mother-in-law house or tiny home, or
Right.
you can have a garage with a unit above it or something like that.
And an ADU does have to have a separate entrance, correct?
Well, actually, not anymore. State law changed. So there used to be a lot of rules relating to building code as far as fire separation and entrances and things like that. But like I said, the state has been active in the area and actually kind of repealed some of our ability to regulate those things. So now, if you want to create that unit, you still have to meet some of the regulations that the city still has the ability to regulate. You have to have a parking stall. You have to get a conditional use permit. You do have to get a building permit, and if any electrical or any plumbing changes, you still have to get a building permit for.
Well, if the state is probably likely in the future going to change this, why would we go through this exercise now?
That's a good thing to debate. I know that city council had the discussion last time, and recently we've reviewed an application to amend the ADU ordinance to allow it in the PRD zone. And the city said no to that. But after discussion at the council level and with the mayor, there was a lot of concern about parking and about allowing the ADUs in areas that maybe they shouldn't be. And so I think that it was on the discussion block to even limit it further. But we're kind of riding that line between what state law, because state law currently says that they have to be allowed in primarily residential zones, and primarily single family residential zones. So the RPC is a primarily single family residential zone. So I think by state law we have to actually allow it in there. PRD is actually, it has townhomes in it a lot of times, and so that's still allowable for us to not allow it in that zone. But PRD also has lots that are single family and over 6,000 square feet in that zone. So there is a little bit of a gray area. We still don't allow them in the PRD zone.
Could you do me a favor? Do you have the ability to go to Google Earth and tell me what kind of lot size we're looking at in the Brookshire Drive area? It's kind of in the west. It's connected to the golf course. It's that really, really tight neighborhood.
So that development is an R4,
And I know we don't have those.
and that one's a little bit of it's like an existing non-conforming type thing because we did away with the ordinance. So these guys have a bunch of common area. These lots are small.
So this right here, that's a 1/10 of an acre lot. That would be an example of someone who would be affected by this potentially if they wanted to add a basement apartment.
Yeah, so these lots are less than 6,000 square feet, but this change is only in the RPC zone. The R4 is already not on the list
Okay.
So these guys already can't do it because they're not on this list.
But
So
that would be about the minimum lot size, 1/10 of an acre.
yeah. So
Still, I mean,
that's like
that's
4 or
smaller than
5.
5,600.
Yeah, so if you want an example of a 6,000 square foot lot, we can come down here to like Edgewater. It's probably a good example. I think let's see what those guys are.
0.1.
Yeah, so that's about
That's under 56. Those are under 5,600 right there.
Yeah, those are
Is
five.
so
that
just
5,600 is-
about this size or just a touch bigger is what we're talking about
Okay.
as the minimum.
5,600 acres is 0.13 acres. essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, 43,560. So
So
I guess this is still a little bit small, but
But
smaller.
which a basement apartment wouldn't affect the view of the house.
yeah, there's lot coverage, but there's also parking, so like they might be able to fit it in a basement. Actually, these guys don't even have basements anyway, and these were also built back when we were allowing a 5-foot side setback, and then that was also amended. Now it's an 8-foot side setback. So these are pretty close together. So this maybe the better example is, yeah, some of these over here in Stillwater. What are these? What did you say? 0.13?
Yeah, that's about 50.
Yeah, it's 55, 64. Yeah, the very bottom.
Yeah, so this is this is RPC zone.
Would it be advantageous maybe instead of
137.
looking at increasing the size, especially since if the state comes down and changes this anyway on us in the future, would it maybe make more sense for us to look at, you have to be able to provide the parking to accommodate instead?
Yeah, we already require them to have the parking stall regardless. But I guess there's just kind of the concern of too many people and too little of a space. Yeah, so if you look in this other ordinance that I had included in here, this is kind of the general the general regulations for accessory dwellings, and it says, and it lists the zones that you can build them in.
Would we allow tandem parking so that the renter and the homeowner could be front to back and be able to count it? I think that would be a way to still allow parking, if we prohibited tandem parking, then they would need to provide their own, they couldn't say, yes, we have the official spots, but the tenant is still going to be forced onto the street.
Yeah, so the ordinance does talk about tandem being permissible. Parking may be provided in tandem for accessory unit only when sufficient on-street parking is also available and the lot is not located within a cul-de-sac. So I guess sometimes they could do a tandem if there's room.
How would that work with our winter ordinance? Because then technically
Yeah.
it can't be on street.
Yeah, I think it's a qualifier. I can't remember exactly what we were thinking about. I think basically we want to make sure that there's enough space for the tandem. We're not blocking the sidewalk. A lot of times in the cul-de-sac, you don't have a lot of driveway depth. But yeah, in the wintertime, it would be extra hard to
And-
park.
And is that tandem, because it needs 2 spots for the ADU, and then we need 2 spots for the main dwelling, so they would have 4 spots, and technically they could put them all lined up in tandem and have 4.
And we also, I mean, we do count stalls inside a garage. So
2 in the garage, 2 in the
Two in
driveway,
the garage and two in the driveway.
and they'd both be tandem.
mhm.
Right, and that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like if we're thinking about this long term, and the state has a potentiality to come down on this harder later, and on this restriction, maybe we need to think about this a little outside the box, and maybe think of it, maybe restricting our parking situation a little bit better, and making it so, like you were saying, like tandem parking, make it so that's not effective, that's not allowed. Because I mean, the state could easily come down and say, okay, now you have to do it to 5,500 square foot lots.
So maybe we just take item B there and we just keep the first sentence and strike the rest.
Yeah, you guys could recommend something back to city council that addresses their square footage recommendation, but you could also propose an amendment to this parking that says that you have to have a one off-street stall per bedroom that's non-tandem, something to that effect.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah, I also like that because then it keeps that, if we keep it at that 56, and it kind of keeps it at that break line with the rest of our ordinance, right? And so you don't have that 6,000 in the middle of that break line.
Would in the ordinance could we change if we're gonna change the 6,000, we ought to change in the other places too then, so everything goes to 6,000.
Yeah, certainly could. We have a whole lot of development that's based off of those rungs
Yeah.
that might make it confusing, but we may have another 100-acre master plan community. There's kind of maybe 1 or 2 spots that it's possible. Yeah, I think we just want to make sure that there's clear regulations for all of those homes that are already built in there. So changing the rungs up to 6,000 would kind of upset the balance of because there are some other references in that RPC zone that refer to which category they're in.
Okay.
So
I do like this recommended change. I think it's a good idea to update that. And I'm personally fine with leaving it as city council wants at 6,000. That's just my opinion. How the rest of the commission feels. Again, we're not taking a vote tonight, but just kind of give staff direction.
I agree with, the 6,000. I think we have to be careful getting into the sticky wickets is what I'm going to call it a little bit with tandem parking that we're just talking about accessory dwelling units because we have a lot of single residential families that park tandem, with high school drivers and stuff, that we don't want to get it into limiting what a single resident can do with
But
it.
I think that would only affect ADU.
Yeah,
situation.
this,
Yeah.
yeah, this would only affect the ADU, this change. So I think that's a good.
I mean, my direct neighbor, they've got 5 vehicles right now because they've got two high school or two high schoolers, one fresh well, not fresh, but a couple years out of high school, and they're all driving. And so, they're parking on the street and everything and whatnot. So, but they're not dealing with an ADU situation. So I would not want that to affect them. Right.
Correct, yeah.
I mean, the house across the street from me has an ADU, and they actually poured a whole new concrete slab just to accommodate the vehicles for it to get off the street for winter. So
That's what should happen.
Which is easier on larger lots.
Yep.
I live too, so it's
Right.
Yeah.
Which if
Mhm.
if we did include that type of restriction on ADU specifically, you're not going to get some RPC being able to put an ADU in per the code, and they're not going to have to go to the state and fight. Well, are you guys looking at dropping this down to 5,600 feet, square foot in the future or whatever? You now have another stipulation that puts the restriction on it. And most people aren't going to be doing this anyway. But in the event that somebody is going to maybe try and quote unquote abuse the system to try and get around it, that would put an extra restriction in there for it. And we wouldn't necessarily per se have to worry about the future coming down from the state with a square footage restriction. We'd say, okay, fine. You can now put an ADU in at 5,000 square feet on a 5,000 square foot lot, but we still have our restrictions for parking. So we're still good there.
Yeah, at a certain point, they just won't have room to add another stall, or
Yeah.
maybe will result in lots that are like have zero landscaping. It's just
Yeah, the whole front yard is.
it's a shed with the guy living in it and his parking stall, and then the bait. There's just people parking everywhere.
5,000 square foot lot with a 200 square foot home.
But don't we have some restriction on a certain percentage has to be green in their front yard or in their yard?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have our yard requirements as far as setbacks, and you can't turn more than 50% of your front yard into a parking lot.
Right, that's fine.
Is that
So-
the 50%
Yeah,
of your front yard
yeah.
parking? Okay.
I mean, people will still try parking on their front lawn, especially in the wintertime. But, doesn't change the fact that it's against the ordinance. It's just people do it.
Okay. It sounds like, I mean, if the rest of the commission okay with it, we'll go with that as our recommendation. Bring it back next time with those changes. And
So what change, do we have anything with the tandem
We're gonna
parking,
keep
or
it
is there?
56 and just go with the parking. Is that what we're recommending?
I think if we strike the parking, and I'm trying to read minds here and I'm terrible at it, but I think if we strike the parking, that might still accomplish the goal of city council to make it so it's more difficult to have ADUs on these smaller lots.
Yeah.
I agree.
You said strike the parking?
The tandem.
This,
parking
the
tandem
tandem.
parking.
Strike the tandem
portion of the
allowance.
So on item B,
Yeah, yeah.
there under 18, B would have
Right
the
here.
first paragraph and the rest, or first sentence, and the rest would be gone.
Gotcha.
Well, would it be that it wouldn't be tandem where the expected parking would be for, I mean, for a garage, I would think that the stalls in the garage are for the main
Yeah.
dwelling, and then the parking.
Yeah, as long
On
as
the-
if they put 2 in the garage and 2 in the driveway, it's still off the sidewalk. It's still,
So you're just saying
We
that
need to add in.
we're taking off the on-street parking is available.
yeah.
So then we just say can only be tandem if it's fully off.
Do we want to add the statement in there that's 2 additional non-tandem on-site parking?
Yeah, we can do that.
My contention is the on-street parking as a caveat. I
Yeah.
don't think that we should allow that on-street parking as part of that.
Yeah.
service.
I agree.
Not not when it specifically affects ADU. Yeah, I agree with that.
So just
Like that, accessory dwelling that contains 2 or more bedrooms shall require 2 additional non-tandem on-site parking spaces.
I'd also add off-street,
Off-street, yeah,
off-street,
non-tandem.
non-tandem, on-site parking
Parking, yeah.
spaces.
Yep,
Agreed. Yeah,
agree.
that's a good one.
well,
Just that thumbs up.
so
Chief there.
I get so I have an ADU and we have parking on the side of our house that is in tandem. And it's the they park tandem separate from ours. And that they just have to work it out between them.
Mhm.
So they
That wouldn't be bad. Like, is because they're pulling up to the side of the house. You've got
right. So they
the
just
equivalent
have their
of
own
a trailer.
driveway altogether.
like a trailer spot.
But
You're probably not in RP.
So the parking space-
I'm not, and I'm in an R1.
Yeah.
But
So
the
we just need to make sure that it says the parking spaces, they're the non-tandem parking are non-tandem to the main dwelling.
correct, yeah, that's the caveat. I think is it's the non-tandem with the main dwelling stalls.
Tandem on the side of the building. That's
It's
not-
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they have to shift every, I noticed they do that once in a while, but yeah.
So you got it, Noah?
Sure.
Okay. You sound real confident there.
He's gonna go back and review the footage
Is
of
that-
that meeting over.
I have no
again.
idea what they decided.
So-
That's just what he's saying, is if it's an ADU, they can decide to do tandem parking as long as it's not part of the main residential. area.
Correct, tandem with the
Yep.
main
Yeah.
parking, yeah.
So we all agree that leaving it at 5,600 is fine, so long as we make the changes to the parking, or are we saying the other?
Cause
The first one, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
leaving it at 56 and then,
yeah, cause we have to think about not just new developments, is that if it does come down, that current housing that's built would then be able to go do an ADU. So that would,
right,
if they took that all the
I
size,
think
yeah.
That's the direction the state is taking. President, or Governor Cox is really pushing for ADUs and new developments and housing, and wants to increase his housing quite a bit. Has a strong goal for that, so.
He's also pushed for single-family dwellings that they have not listened to him on either.
For your information, the state law does include a section that talks about internal accessory ADUs. There's nothing yet on external. The internal one may have some restrictions that would not allow the city to require more than 1 parking space regardless of the number of bedrooms. So I just gave that homework assignment to Noah to figure that out while he's drafting your proposed amendment.
Okay.
so that may throw everything right out the door.
Well, we can still require the parking sprawl to be non-tandem to the main dwelling.
After we have public hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, we're only talking about the RPC zone.
Yeah.
That's true,
Restricted.
right, there's nothing going on for the R1, R2. right?
Yeah. R1, R2, R3, no changes. This is just strictly RPC.
We may have to have different parking standards for the different types of ADUs. So if it's an internal,
Yeah.
Okay.
attached or detached.
I mean, and I hate to say it, but when we're talking about RPC, you're not gonna get an external ADU on an RPC lot.
Yeah. But we want to take any reference to on-street parking out.
Tough shit in the back, mother-in-law.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
I agree with that as well. Just get rid of any references to on-street.
Oh, yeah, as counting towards the parking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, on-street parking is allowed where it's allowed, but not count it as one of your ADU things.
Yeah.
Yeah, all good points. I'll take a stab at it and then we'll talk more about it next time and then we'll see what city council does with it.
And public hearing next time for it then too. So, okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's it. We'll go ahead and next item is to adjourn to work session.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are now in work session. City council report. Do we have anything for us, Paul?
I don't have any updates, sir.
Okay, thank you. City Attorney?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Upcoming agenda items, we know of two already.
Yeah, so our next meeting is June 17th. And we have this townhome project, first phase of the Banbury townhomes. It's been a while since we've seen that, but they're working their way through and want to start construction. Then, of course, the two that we talked about, the Jones subdivision that needs the public hearing, the ADU, and then the Costco plat. Hopefully, as long as we get revised plans back from them that meet all of our standards, we should be good.
Anything else upcoming besides, I mean, that's probably next meeting. Anything a little bit longer. Right?
Yeah, we have a site plan application for the second Fort Street commercial building. We received an application for an addition on a church house. It's the one, what is that, 500 West and 2700 South. They're adding to the south end of it.
Okay.
That we did get a application for a concept subdivision plat for West Lake Landing is what they're calling it now. It's on the corner of 2700 South and 2000 West.
Oh, is that the
So
commercial one?
It's commercial, yeah. So they're looking at a gas station and some other kind of health, what they call it, health related, like a gym and indoor sport stuff.
Okay.
And then we received an application for Sadie's Glen Phase 3 final.
Okay. Cool. So Sadie's Glen just doesn't matter of order. Apparently, we had 5 on today's agenda.
Yeah, they have essentially 6 phases, and they are proceeding out of order a little bit,
Okay.
which is weird, but also not against our ordinances.
Okay.
1, 5, 6, 3, 2.
Yeah, they just can't count. Okay. Anything else for upcoming agenda items we need to be aware of?
I see on June 10th, I think we have some planning commission appointments coming up with city council. I'm assuming that's why the mayor was here, but maybe he was interested in other items.
Do we give you some time, Mayor? Or you? Okay.
We'll appoint planning commissioners in the June 10th meeting that will be effective July 1st.
Okay.
That's been our standard, is to appoint them in the June meeting, have them be effective on the 1st.
Sounds good. Okay. Anything for commissioner reports?
Just a note, I will be on the meeting on June 17th, but I will be in Bear Lake, so
Okay.
I will be remote for that meeting.
Well, enjoy your time up there.
Will be a nice long week.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Anybody else have anything? Okay. We'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting then.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks for coming, Mayor.
I had to laugh when you said, hey, I guess I don't think my friends are enough. I don't always have to get in my way. There's like. Driveway.
If I can't, I'll let you know.